head into the new album. We're going to get into
Right.
Transcend. So let's hop in. It's, Duke Ellington's in the backdrop. You got a great band, a lot going on. How did the idea for this album come out?
Oh, wow. Well, I don't, I take no stolen valor. I mean, Duke Ellington, let's hope that he's a national hero
Yeah.
to everyone. And he's long been a hero of mine. And I feel like he's a figure where it's hard to know where to dive in because his career was so long and so vast, and he covered so many different facets, not just of jazz, but American culture, and also the idea of collaboration.
Yeah.
You find with Ellington, not just that he co-wrote with Strayhorn and gave Strayhorn a lot of room to write for the orchestra, but also the soloists that he chose, in a lot of cases, created their own parts, and without Johnny Hodges, would Ellington have written what he wrote? And you could say the same about probably a dozen or more players. So in that sense, for me, in that I always write for improvisers, and I try to write in a way where you hear the personality of the player, that's item of interest number one. But for number two, I think that the sacred concerts are first a very risky personal move for such a master to share his spiritual feeling and insight. And it also felt like it was a wrapping up for him. I had done the first Gifts album around the music of Billy Strayhorn. And when I started working on this second album of Gifts, the original idea was, there's plenty of Strayhorn, let's get into it. And then I started thinking about their relationship, and I went back and listened to the sacred concerts. They're mostly after Strayhorn's involvement with the band because he had passed away. And I felt like not only is Ellington standing alone again as a composer, as a band leader, but he's also chosen to put this concert of spiritual works out there. He didn't talk about the church a lot, but his involvement with the church is certainly evident in what he did in the sacred concerts. And so I felt like, wow, here's a way to dig in. Here's a way for me to dig in.
Yeah.
I feel like music and the spirit are of a piece. I don't pretend to understand or comprehend the insights of Ellington. I content myself with my own insights. And having made a lot of music over many years, I felt like, okay, this is a time for me to face this also. And I wanted to do it in our own way. I didn't, none of the projects I've ever done have I felt like, ooh, I want to recreate something that was. You can't remake the magic. You have to, whatever clay you're working with, you've got to make something new that comes from now, from your own circumstance. And that's what Transcend is all about. It's about spirituality. It's about sanctifying the music. It's about observing the music as a spiritual practice. And I opened the record with Come Sunday because that's the one piece that was in every one of Ellington's sacred concerts. And it's also the one that dates back the furthest in his writing career. And, we did it our own way. not everybody's going to hear the way we did it and appreciate it. Um, I guess that's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
It's like, here's us and our vision with the way that we play of how we could do this song.
And you have a wonderful lineup of cats, young, wonderful minds. You got Tomeka Reid and James Brandon Lewis. There's a whole lineup. How did you assemble the band? How did the interplay work?
Well, I had been touring trio with Rafiq Bhatia, the guitarist, and the drummer Ian Chang. And when we made the studio album called Gifts, we added James Brandon Lewis as another voice. Um, and then a couple years ago, we did a few tours where we added Tomeka Reid on cello. And we played as a quintet, but we were playing the music from the previous album. But it was on those tours that I heard what this band could be capable of, and that planted the seed for me to do it. So it really came out of gigs that we did together. Uh, and, I sort of feel like as a band leader, one of the most important things to do is to listen to what people are doing and in reaction to your music, but also on their own uh, spirit. So I spent a lot of time thinking about, wow, what are these players doing that I'm not inviting in, and how could I open up this music to encompass all of that? Now, Rafiq Bhatia and Ian Chang because they're in the band Son Lux,
Yeah.
and they work now on quite a few film scores. So their whole sound world is a really special place. And most of this music came out of me thinking, okay, how could I open up a space for them that would be specific, that would be us, but that also would have enough freedom to allow them to really um, express what their experience is with the technology.
So, what did you learn about Ellington when you cover masters? Inevitably, you're going to dig into maybe things that you didn't expect. But what did you learn, maybe about him or yourself in this process?
Um, there's a great book that I read years ago called Duke Ellington's America. I recommend it um, because the book really covers all the different aspects of, the business and the family and all the things that Ellington went through. Um, so when I started looking at the music for the sacred concerts closely, I made the connection to all those life experiences in a way that I hadn't done before. I had never played the song Heaven, and I had heard it. It's in the real book. I wouldn't say it's a standard. It's not a tune that a lot of people play, but it's a beautiful and classic song. Fits on one page in the book. And but when I started to examine it, I just got a much deeper sense of it, and I did our reharmonization, and it turned into something else that I think is really beautiful. Um, I guess in taking on the spirit and the music, it felt like a summing up for me too. Like, I've made records that dealt with various aspects of hymns and the church and spirituals and of course the practice of what we do is very meditative and very can't be divorced from our connection to our soul and the universe.
Yeah.
And I felt that to take on Ellington and the Sacred Concerts meant to go deeper into my own relationship with all those things. And it felt like a pulling together of a lot of different ways that I've thought about making music. And it's a spiritual statement. It's a spirit. It's of light and of allowing and of humanity. And I can't say that that is separate from what's going on in the world right now. That I felt I need to get this out
Yeah.
because who knows where this thing is going.
And that's the thing. We need it more now than ever. So ultimately, what are you hoping the listener gets from this album?
Well, I hope that they enjoy the beautiful music. It's as simple as that. I'm a musician, and that's a carnal pleasure that is physical and spiritual, of course. But I sort of feel like what we want as musicians is for somebody to put on the record and just feel soothed, not in a pacifying way, but in a deep spiritual sense. Like, I see this is something that's about the universe that I can understand and see maybe in a different way than I've seen before. And here's a way of thinking about the spirit and our place in all of it that might be different than anything I've ever thought about. I try to write for James, for Tomeka, for Ian, for Rafiq, to bring them into community with ways of playing they may not have considered before. Not out of their comfort zone, but from where they are, inviting them into a new space to develop those sorts of sounds. That's what's important to me, is that we as a community get across the message that we're playing together in the service of this larger goal.
Absolutely. So what about touring, live gigs? The album comes out on April 24th on Greenleaf.
Yeah, Greenleaf Music. We're playing at Big Ears Festival in Knoxville. I think the date is March 29th, so it's a little before, but I'll have copies with me.
Yeah.
Then we're playing a week at the Village Vanguard, May 12th to the 17th. So anybody considering coming to New York, I promise all the snow will be gone. And yeah, come on out.
I love it. I love it. Dave, so
Thank
great
you,
to catch
Joe.
up with you. Yeah.
Oh man, it's great to see you too. Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck in the storm. We've been doing that in Kansas City all winter. So best of luck. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good
Neon Jazz.